keep us apart. There's too much love in this Mississippi heart. Too much love in this Mississippi heart.
For nearly a decade, Dan Mullen brought a level to Mississippi State football that was greatly needed. Got them a lot of respect, and last year the team went 9-4. Remember, a few years ago, at one point, they were the #1 team in the country. They had better recruiting, but a better outlook toward the game. But now the Dan Mullen era has ended in Starkville. Now the head coach at the Florida Gators. So you bring in Joe Moorhead, and how do I think Mississippi State will do this year without their longtime coach in Mullen? I think they could be even better because of the wealth of talent you bring back. Plus, I think that Moorhead's going to elevate the passing game, which sucked in 2017. I mean, they were bad. Biggest reason was because of lack of chemistry between the QBs and the receivers, but they've upgraded that area too, and we'll talk more about that later. But first, let's talk about Nick Fitzgerald, quarterback who is about as multidimensional as they come. A year ago, 15 TD passes, did throw for 11 picks, but he's actually, believe it or not, the third leading rusher coming back amongst SEC players. Remember, he's a quarterback. Last year, rushing for nearly 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns. So he accounted for 29 total touchdowns, and we'll see how he will fare health-wise. It looks like he's ready to go after that devastating ankle injury suffered in last year's Egg Bowl in the loss to Ole Miss. But you get Nick Fitzgerald, and you also get Eris Williams back, the second leading ball carrier coming back amongst SEC players, 1,100-plus yards and 6 touchdowns. So running game is going to be said. It will be a run-pass type option offense where you will see more downfield throwing. And this is what Mississippi State greatly needs because they were dead last in 2017 in passing offense. That's right, dead last in the conference. But a big emphasis during this recent recruiting class was put on wide receiver. In fact, 3 of Mississippi State's top 5 recruits are wide receivers, and I think all 3 will play anywhere from marginal to quite a bit. And that will include the #1 recruit in Malik Heath, also Devonta Jason, and you have Stephen Guidry. I think these 3 freshmen are going to make a difference for this team. It doesn't mean that they're going to lead the SEC in passing, but they shouldn't be dead last. Again, because you have a little bit more talent in this position now, but you also have a different philosophy. And you also, by the way, besides Moorhead as head coach, you bring in former Green Bay Packer assistant in Luke Getsy. So it will be an offense that will throw the ball more often, even though I know Fitzgerald will still be able to break a big one with his rushing ability. And also Jesse Jackson is back, the leading receiver from a year ago, not the Reverend, but the receiver had about 30 catches. Offensive line returns nearly everybody. A big loss, though, as you don't return Martinez Rankin, an all-SEC left tackle. But everyone else is back, including a guy that I think will be all-SEC in some form this upcoming season of the first or second team in Darrell Williams, again, the left guard position. Defensively, this was a big strength for Mississippi State a year ago as well. In fact, they gave up less than 21 points per game and were third best in the SEC in total D, just over 300 yards per game sacrificed. So Mississippi State, with the majority of players coming back, I think it's going to be a good year defensively as well. Defensive line gets all 4 players back up front in the 4-2-5 alignment, and these guys are damn good at creating tackles for loss. Proof is in the pudding with both Montez Sweat, a 15 tackle for loss guy a year ago back, and also both defensive tackles can play as well in Braxton Hoyt and Jeffrey Simmons. Simmons, by the way, had 12 tackles for loss, and the other defensive end in Jerry Green, 11 tackles for loss. So they mean business when they're up front. Linebackers, it is a 4-2-5 alignment, but both linebackers have to be replaced, the full-time starters. But you do get a guy that played some last year in Leo Lewis, 46 tackles, not bad. Secondary returns, both safeties, and they can play anywhere in college football. They're that good. Jonathan Abram, 71 tackles for loss a year ago, and an all-SEC player in Mark McLaurin, not only 79 tackles, but 6 interceptions as well. Definitely a big, big advantage for this Mississippi State team, getting those guys back. Bob Shoop is the new defensive coordinator. I wasn't really impressed with him at Tennessee, but I did like the work that he did at both Penn State under James Franklin and at Vanderbilt before that, though. So a coach with a lot of defensive experience, and I think that he's going to have plenty of talent, other than maybe the linebackers, to work with in 2017. Place kicker, they'll be set as well, returning Jake Chrisman, who made all but 2 kicks a year ago. The schedule for Mississippi State, well, a pretty nice non-conference test in week number 2, traveling to the Little Apple to face Bill Snyder's K-State Wildcats. If you look at this schedule as far as the first half of it, wow, it could potentially spell 6-0 if they can handle Florida and Dan Mullen returning to Starkville. And then game number 6 against Auburn, a team that humiliated Mississippi State a year ago. But remember, the Bulldogs are going to be better this year, and the game is at home. A valuable bye week coming in the middle of the season, 2 weeks to prepare for LSU. Of course, that game at the B.Y.U. The following week, you get the Aggies at home. And November 10th, a game that I think will have serious SEC West ramifications against the defending national champion Crimson Tide. Last season, the Bulldogs nearly had a victory in this one, only to see Jalen Hurts and the Tide come from behind to win. And you close out the year, Thanksgiving night, reserved for the Egg Bowl. This was the game where Fitzgerald got hurt, and, of course, Ole Miss pulled off the upset. The Bulldogs are one of those teams where at the beginning of the season, you may not think much of them, but you will come later in the year. They are going to be tough to beat, and I've got them finishing second in the SEC West. Of course, that team from Tuscaloosa, yeah, they're my pick to win the West. That's my look at Mississippi State. See you next time.